So year nines, here we are again, back working from home, certainly for some of you anyway. So moving on to a new topic today, writing to analyse, which we were doing with the breadwinner and Weep Not My Wanton. We were analysing those stories, analysing the characters. We're going to be looking at analysing some non-fiction work today though, and certainly for the rest of this unit. Okay, so as it says here, there's 11 units on this PowerPoint. There's worksheets available. If you see this symbol here, this little help and support symbol, then if you look in the resources folder on folder, then you'll find those help sheets that you need there. And it may well last, if you're working from home for a lot longer, it may well last you more than 11 lessons, but just take it as it comes and we'll see how we go with it. This is really important, the knowledge organiser for this unit, and it's really important that you study this, that you take note of the information in it and learn, especially the subject terminology that we've got. The comparative peel work you will be familiar with because you had that when we were looking at comparing the breadwinner and Weep Not My Wanton. You've got activities and some different types of connectives at the side, but the subject terminology, the camera shots, camera angles, non-diegetic sound and diegetic sound, mise-en-scene, repetition, alliteration, dramatic irony, ambiguity and sibilance. You really need to learn what each of those things are. It's really important for this unit of work. So our first lesson then today is about writing to analyse and the learning objective to be able to present ideas in a logical way. So obviously you've not got your English books at home, but if you can find some paper, you can always then bring the paper in and stick it into your English book. So we've not got bits of work everywhere. So if you get down today's date, which is Monday the 9th of November, lesson 1, writing to analyse, and your learning objective to be able to present ideas in a logical way. So the objectives for this whole unit then, today obviously we're focusing on presenting ideas in a logical way. We're going to be able to think about different ways of organising and linking paragraphs using quotations and evidence from texts, making judgments about texts, and writing a formal essay in a set time. So start then in pairs. Well, it says in pairs. If you've got somebody at home you can do this with, that's great. If not, if you can just do it on your own, make a note of where you've heard the word analyse. And can we brainstorm any synonyms for the word analyse? So any words that mean similar sorts of things. Give yourself 5 minutes. So just put this on pause for 5 minutes and have a go at those two short activities. Okay, some synonyms for analyse then: investigate, study, evaluate, consider, question and explore. So that's what we're doing when we're analysing. We're investigating something, we're studying it, considering it, evaluating it, questioning it and exploring it. So let's look at this question then. When we're presenting ideas in a logical way, this is taken from a history textbook and it's about the plague. And this person is answering the question, why did the plague spread so quickly across Europe and how did it change life for people there? So let's have a look at this piece of writing and see actually how it's been put together, how it's been structured in a logical way. The plague was transmitted to people by fleas which lived on rats. In the 1330s, China was one of the world's largest trading nations and therefore had links with many countries in Europe. The disease was carried by fleas and rats on ships and overland trading caravans travelling to Europe. In this way, the disease spread very quickly throughout Europe. The plague had long-lasting effects on life in Europe. At that time, medicine was unable to deal with this deadly disease, and as a result, many people died from it. After 5 years, 25 million people were dead, 1/3 of Europe's people. It caused serious labour shortages because so many people had died from it. Consequently, there were many riots as workers demanded and were refused higher wages. In addition, the church suffered. People had prayed for deliverance from the plague, yet their prayers were not answered, so people began to question the church and their belief in God. So it can be seen the plague had a considerable effect on life in Europe. Okay, so let's just have a look at the annotations, the notes around the side of that piece of writing. Right up at the top here, it says we've got a topic sentence which introduces the subject of the paragraph. So it tells us the plague was transmitted to people by fleas which lived on rats. So that's the topic sentence. The rest of that paragraph gives us more information about how that happened. Okay. It says it's written in the past tense. Obviously, this is something that's happened in the past, so we're going to be using the past tense. And the analysis begins here with an explanation. So we've got therefore. Over on the other side, the opening paragraphs gives an overview of the plague. So it's an introduction paragraph. Okay. This next paragraph is going to give us a more detailed account of the effects of the plague. Again, we've got a topic sentence. The plague had long-lasting effects on life in Europe, and then the rest of the paragraph tells us what those long-lasting effects were. If we move down towards the bottom, we've got in addition here. So it says the phrase is used to introduce further information. Okay, so we use those connectives to link our paragraphs together, just like we used them with when we were doing the similarities and differences between the mothers in The Breadwinner and Weep Not My Wanton. We had things like on the other hand, similarly, well, whereas, however. We need to make sure we're using all of those different connectives to link our paragraphs and link our ideas. Okay, right down at the bottom, it says this sentence uses the passive voice to add a formal tone to the conclusion, so it can be seen the plague had a considerable effect on life in Europe. Okay, so we can see that piece of writing has been structured quite clearly. It's in a sensible or logical order in the information that's been given to us. So the stages of the writing process then. If we're given a question like that, first thing you need to do is think about the question. What is it asking you to do? You then need to make notes on how you might answer the question. Then you need to plan what you're going to put into each paragraph. And then you need to use the past tense, topic sentences, phrases to link ideas, and words to draw conclusions. Okay, so that needs to be copied down, please. So whatever you're writing on that you're going to bring into school, can you copy that down, please? Next thing we're going to look at is some different types of connectives and conjunctions. We're going to look at temporal and causal connectives. Okay, you may not have heard of these before. Temporal means that it's to do with time. Okay, so temporal is to do with time. Causal are words and phrases that explain cause and effect. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is to copy out this table, and then you need to go back to slide 7. And what I'd like you to have a go at doing is to have a look at the words that are written in a slightly different colour on the slide 7 and try and work out whether they are temporal connectives, words or phrases that are to do with time, or causal connectives, words and phrases that explain cause and effect. Okay, so when we're thinking about cause and effect, we're thinking about something that's happened and then the result of it. So we might say something like, Joe was talking in class, therefore he got a detention. Or Joe was talking in class, so he got a detention. Or we could do it the other way around. Joe got a detention because he was talking in class. So all of those things, all of those words, therefore, so, because, they're linking the cause and the effect. What's happened and what's the result of it, okay? So you're drawing out this table and then going back to slide 7 and picking out the words and phrases in the slightly different colour font and deciding whether they're temporal connectives to do with time or causal connectives to do with cause and effect. Okay, So hopefully you've been able to have a go at doing that. The temporal connectives we should have found were at that time and after 5 years. The causal connectives, we've got therefore, in this way, as a result, consequently, because, so, and in addition. Okay, so that's the end of the work for today. If you've got any time left, go back to that knowledge organizer at the beginning of the PowerPoint and start learning, in particular, those key words. There were 10 key words on the left-hand side. Try and learn the meanings of those words and phrases. Okay, well done.